سبيل الدموع سبيل مريح تنهدى يا صاحي كي تستريح وبث الدعاء الخفي الصريح.
What about when it comes to acknowledging leaders who are not following the path of Islam? And, does it permit to carry or to overthrow these governments? Does it permit to ignore these governments and whatever? And sometimes people become very judgmental. Supposedly, people will say supposedly, Pakistan is an Islamic country. It was established on Islam. So because the Muslim government is not actually bringing in any Islamic Sharia, or it's very minor, then that gives us right now to overthrow this government and establish something else. Is that what the Sharia permits? And what you'll find is particularly in Surah Ma'idah, where I've put my next post-it note. And if you look at verses, where are we? Verse number 44, verse number 45, and verse number 47. Okay, you'll see how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes. Now, what he mentioned, it's important that we read, I read the verses, all the verses to you, so bear with me. Inna anzalna tawrata fiha hudan wa nur. Indeed, we have revealed the Torah, and in there there's guidance and light. Yahkumu biha nabiyyuna alladhina aslamu, and has judged by it the anbiya, the prophets, those who had submitted themselves, lilladhina, for those who were hadu, those who were Jews, wa rabbaniyuna, and the rabbis and ahbar. This will be kind of the religious men. Bimastuhfidhu min kitabillah wa kanu alayhi shuhada. فَلَا تَخْشَوُوا النَّاسَ وَخْشَوْا. Don't fear the people, fear me. وَلَا تَشْتَرُوا بِآيَاتِي ثَمَنًا قَلِيلًا. And do not purchase or do not exchange for my verses a paltry price. Meaning, don't, certain rules, certain verses are too difficult for you in the Torah and you don't want to act upon them, or somebody comes and bribes you and says, okay, what's the ruling? And you think, well, this person just give me 10 gold coins. I don't really want to say something that is not really going to be pleased with. So if I say, oh, this person's going to be flogged, or this is going to happen, or that's going to happen, then this person's not going to be too happy. So, oh, actually in your case, it means X, Y, Z. So they've sold the verses of the Torah for a paltry price. وَمَنْ لَمْ يَحْكُمْ بِمَا أَنزِلَ اللَّهُ فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْكَافِرُونَ. Those who don't judge by the verses, by what Allah has revealed, then they are the kafirun. Okay, now this is directly associated with this verse. وَكَتَبْنَا عَلَيْهِمْ, but it carries on with this group of people, the Jews. وَكَتَبْنَا عَلَيْهِمْ فِيهَا أَنَّ النَّفْسَ بِالنَّفْسِ وَالْعَيْنَ بِالْعَيْنِ وَالْأَنْفَ بِالْأَنْفِ. So this is talking about an eye for an eye, a nose for a nose, the law of retaliation, the qisas as it's referred to, وَالْجُرُوحُ qisas. فَمَنْ تَصَدَّقَ بِهِ فَهُوَ كَفَارَةٌ لَهُ. Whoever says, fine, I forgive you. Look, it's always prompting forgiveness. Whoever says, look, I forgive you, it doesn't matter, I know you chopped my finger off, but I don't require your finger to be chopped off, then this is expiation for him. Any sins he's committed, this will be forgiven for him. وَمَنْ لَمْ يَحْكُمْ بِمَا أَنزَلَ اللَّهُ. And that person does not judge by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الظَّالِمُونَ. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala described them as zalimun. وَقَفَّيْنَا عَلَىٰ آثَارٍ بِعِيسَى ابْنِ مَرْيَمَ مُصَدِّقًا لِمَا بَيْنَ يَدَيْهِ مِنَ التَّوْرَاةِ وَآتَيْنَاهُ الْإِنْجِيلَ. So now we're talking about the Injil. Okay, فِيهِ هُدًى وَنُورٌ. Similar description, guidance and a light, and it confirms لِمَا بَيْنَ يَدَيْهِ, which came before it from the Torah, and a guidance and an admonition for the people of taqwa. وَلْيَحْكُمْ بِأَهْلُ الْإِنْجِيلِ. So all the people of the Injil, obviously referring to the early Christians, act upon it بِمَا أَنزَلَ اللَّهُ فِيهِ وَمَنْ لَمْ يَحْكُمْ بِمَا أَنزَلَ اللَّهُ فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْفَاسِقُونَ. Now they're described as fasiqun. But these three verses, as you've heard yourself, I've not taken them out of context, you've seen the full, and you can go to yourself, Surah Ma'idah, ayats number 44 across to number 46, and you can see them yourself, that it clearly is discussing the Ahli Kitab, clearly. And what's happening here is these verses are then taken, even though the Ahli Kitab are being addressed, and they're being used then to address the Muslims, and then Muslims are being told to challenge their governments and overthrow them or consider them to be non-Muslim, to give them non-Muslim declarations. So this is very important that's understood. So you can see again how verses have been taken out of context, how the meanings or their interpretations have changed, and how they're being made to understand. So these verses were categorically revealed for the Ahli Kitab. And many have said this. I'm skipping really, in Tafsir ibn Jarir al-Tabri mentions this as well. That they're referring to the Nuzilat Ha'ulai al-Ayat fi Ahli Kitab. And many others have said this. Many others. And Imran ibn, where do we go? And al-Dhahak, Man lam yahkum bima anzalallahu fa ulaikum al-kafirun wal zalimun wal fasiqun kana nuzilat Ha'ulai al-Ayat fi Ahli Kitab. And Ikrama radiyallahu anhu. So these are great individuals. Ha'ulai al-Ayat fi Ahli Kitab. These are referring to li Ahli Kitab. Lima taraku min kitabillah. وعن ابن زيد في قوله ومن لم يحكم بما أنزل الله فأولئك هم الكافرون قال من حكم بكتاب الذي كتب بيده وترك كتاب الله. Is that person who is judging by what is written. وزعم أن كتابه هذا من عند الله فقد كفر. So he writes something himself and he says, oh, this is actually the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is something he's written himself. So here we have in Tafsir Tabri بسنده عن عطاء, he says من لم يحكم بما أنزل الله فأولئك هم الكافرون الظالمون الفاسقون, as I've explained. Then this is kufr duna kufrin. It's not that type of kufr. It's fisk, not that type of fisk. It's zulm, not that type of zulm. That's what it's referring to in these places. And it means قال ليس بكفر. This is not that type of kufr which takes a person out of the deen. That's what it's referring to. وبسند عن ابن عباس من لم يحكم بما أنزل الله فأولئك هم الكافرون قال هي به كفر وليس كفر بالله وملائكته وكتبه ورسله. So it's a different type. It's not talking about that by which a person is now no longer considered to be a Muslim. قال ابن عباس رضي الله عنه, this is from Taus, he says إذا فعل ذلك فهو به كفر وليس كمن كفر بالله واليوم الآخر وبكذا وكذا. Not the same. عن طاووس قال سئل عن ابن عباس قوله ومن لم يحكم بما أنزل الله فأولئك هم الكافرون قال هي به كفر قال ابن طاووس وليس كمن كفر. This is not the same as that person who disbelieves in Allah and his angels and his books and his messengers. This is a different grade. This is a different definition. It's not a one which takes the person out of the fold of Islam. This is what it's referring to. Even though originally these verses were revealed for the Ahli Kitab. It's only, in Tafsir Tabri mentions, it's only when man jahada ma anzalallahu faqad kafara, denies, okay, he denies it, because now you're denying an ayat of the Quran. Denial is a different thing altogether. These are those individuals, for whatever reason, don't act upon them, don't establish them, they don't deny them. So these are different things that one needs to understand. Imam Tabri mentions that the best understanding one can have is this was revealed for the kuffar of Ahli Kitab, because of what the ayats which come before it and the ayats which come after it. And if we take it in a more general sense, then it's referring to the denial of these verses. Yani, man lam yahkum bima anzalallahu jahidan bihi, is renegading. And this is very important and it's very pertinent. Abdullah ibn Umar mentions regarding the Khawarij, and we're seeing this tendency now, is entalaku ila ayatin, they go to those ayats which have been revealed regarding the kuffar, faja'aluha alal mu'minin, and then they interpret them to mean that this is referring to the believers. This is mentioned in Sahih al-Bukhari. The Haq says, la takunu ka ahli Nahran, don't be like the people of Nahrawan. And Nahrawan is referring to the Khawarij. Nahrawan is an area in Iraq, if I'm not mistaken. What do? They interpret the verses of the Quran fi ahli qibla, of the people of the qibla, wa innama, and those which were revealed regarding the verses of the verses regarding the people of the Ahli Kitab. And they don't understand what it is, and as a result of it, fasafaku bihadima, they shed blood because of this, they kill because of this, wa intahibul amwal, and they seize wealth because of this, wa shahidu alayna bid-dalala. And this is in Tafsir Baghawi as well. So he's showing quite clearly that people are interpreting these verses, and we're seeing that now, where these verses are being interpreted, applied to Muslims, even though they're not being applied, and as a justification to kill, as a justification to take wealth, and as a justification to prove that we are the truer Muslims. So, does that mean that there's nothing in the Quran at all about al-Walā wal-barā when with respect to non-Muslims? Surely there must be, because we had the verse that we've already quoted, which is in Surah Mujadala, which we already mentioned. لا تجد قوما يؤمنوا بالله واليوم الآخر يوادون من حاد الله ورسوله ولو كانوا آباءهم أو أبناءهم أو إخوانهم أو عشيرتهم. So what about verses like that? Well, there are many others. يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تتخذوا اليهود والنصارى أولياء بعضهم أولياء بعض. All those of you who believe, do not take the Jews and the Christians as awliya. Okay, we're going to get to this. بعضهم أولياء بعض. Some of them are awliya of others. وَمَن يَتَوَلَّهُم مِّنكُمْ فَإِنَّهُ مِنْهُمْ. Those who do, then you are from them. Indeed, Allah does not guide the oppressing people. فَتَرَى الَّذِينَ فِي قُلُوبِهِم مَرَضٌ يُسَارِعُونَ فِيهِم. You see, those people who have an illness in their heart are hastening towards them, the Jews and the Christians. يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا لَا تَتَّخِذُوا الْعَدُوِّ وَعَدُوَّكُمْ أَوْلِيَاءَ. Or those of you who believe, do not take my enemy and your enemy as awliya. You cast towards them your love and affection. وَقَدْ كَفَرُوا بِمَا جَاءَكُم مِّنَ الْحَقِّ. And they have denied that which you've brought to them from the truth. يُخْرِجُونَ الرَّسُولَ وَإِيَّاكُمْ. They've exiled you and exiled the messenger and you. أَن تُؤْمِنُوا بِاللَّهِ رَبِّكُمْ إِن كُنتُمْ خَرَجْتُمْ جِهَادًا فِي سَبِيلِي وَابْتِغَاءَ مَرْضَاتِي تُسِرُّونَ إِلَيْهِمْ بِالْمَوَدَّةِ وَأَنَا أَعْلَمُ بِمَا أَخْفَيْتُمْ وَمَا أَعْلَنْتُمْ وَمَن يَفْعَلْهُ مِنكُمْ فَقَدْ ضَلَّ سَوَاءَ السَّبِيلِ. يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا لَا تَتَّخِذُوا. Sorry, I'm not even giving you the verse. The first verse I gave you was in Surah Ma'idah. The second one that I just said is Mumtahina. And then we have another one from Ma'idah. لَا تَتَّخِذُوا الَّذِينَ تَخْذُوا دِينَكُمْ هُزُوًا. Do not take those who take your religion as a joke, as a plaything. مِنَ الَّذِينَ أُوتُوا الْكِتَابَ. From the people who've been given the book. مِنْ قَبْلِكُمْ وَالْكُفَّارُ أَوْلِيَاءَ. So these verses are quite clear. Allah says, now this next one is from Al Imran. لَا يَتَّخِذِ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ الْكَافِرِينَ أَوْلِيَاءَ. The believers should not take the kafirin as awliya min dunil mu'minin, from other than believers. We have another one that was in Al Imran. Here's another one in Al Imran. So that was Al Imran, ayat number 28. If I'm not, yep, ayat number 28. This one is ayat number 118 and 119. Again from Al Imran. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu la tattakhidhu bitanatan min dunikum la ya'lunakum khabala waddu ma animtum qad badat al-baghda'u min afwahihim. Clearly their hatred has been made clear from their mouths, and what they hide in their chests is worse. Okay, Surah Nisa, ayat number 138 and 139. بَشِّرِ الْمُنَافِقِينَ بِأَنَّ لَهُمْ عَذَابًا أَلِيمًا الَّذِينَ يَتَّخِذُونَ الْكَافِرِينَ أَوْلِيَاءَ. Give glad tidings to the hypocrites, who for them is a painful punishment, because they take the kafirin as awliya and not the believers. Okay, this is how they're being described. Surah Nisa again, 144. يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا لَا تَتَّخِذُوا الْكَافِرِينَ أَوْلِيَاءَ مِن دُونِ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. Do not take the kafirin as awliya other than the believers. Only take the believers. So you can see verse after verse. Another one in Surah Ma'idah, ayat number 80, 82, Surah Tawbah. So it's not as if we're hiding that these verses don't exist. These verses categorically exist. Na'udhu billahi min zalik, will be denying the Quran if we say that they don't exist. So they exist. It's how are we going to understand them? Because what we've seen so far seems to suggest that we've been looking at so far seems to suggest that how the Prophet ﷺ interpreted these and how they're now being interpreted, particularly by the scholars from what's described as the Salafi sect, how they're now described, how now they're understanding it, seems to be worlds apart. Let's see any ahadith. There's a number of hadiths as well. Sunan al-Kubra al-Nasai, Ahmad in his Musnad, he mentions one Jarir ibn Abdullah Bajali radiyallahu anhu, anna Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam and that we give glad tidings, we give nasiha to every Muslim, wa tabra'u min al-kafir, and we from a kafir. Barā, disavowal, we've used the word so far. And then the verse, the hadith we use right at the beginning. Here we have it. أوثق الأولى الإيمان الموالة في الله والمعادة في الله والحب في الله والبغض في الله. If you remember when this all started nearly an hour and a half ago. How do we now understand this? Well, before we now, so we've got we had the starting point for the Salafi view of it. We then explained how it was completely opposite. It was in contradiction to how the Sunnah was in terms of not being exclusivist but being inclusivist. Also in the fact of being merciful and forgiving. We didn't see him very much. We saw hate and anger. Also in the sense of dissociating the act from the person. And what we saw was associating the act to the person's belief. So I don't know if I mixed my hands there now, but you got the idea. So we're seeing two different things. But what about these verses? How are we supposed to understand them? But before we go into that, we need to explore the status of a human. And there's many ayats. Surah Baqarah, ayat number 30, Surah Hijr, ayat number 29, Surah Sad, ayat number 75, Surah Teen, ayat number 4, Surah Adhariyat, ayat number 56, Surah An-Nisa, ayat number 165, Surah Jathiyah, ayat number 13, and Surah Isra, ayat number 17. And some I have for you here. وَإِذْ قَالَ رَبُّكَ لِلْمَلَائِكَةِ إِنِّي جَاعِلٌ فِي الْأَرْضِ خَلِيفَةً. When I'm going to make upon the earth a Khalifa, the angels replied, أَتَجْأَلُ فِيهَا مَنْ يُفْسِدُ فِيهَا وَيَسْفِكُ الدِّمَاءَ وَنَحْنُ نُسَبِّحُ بِحَمْدِكَ وَنُقَدِّسُ لَكَ كَانَ إِنِّي أَعْلَمُ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. So here the humans are described with bad characteristics. Yet Allah SWT speaks well of them. They're described as those individuals who will cause corruption upon the land, and they will shed blood by the angels. فَإِذَا سَوَّيْتُهُ وَنَفَخْتُ فِيهِ مِنْ رُوحِي. When Allah SWT fashioned him and blew into him from his soul, فَقَعُوا لَهُ سَاجِدِينَ. The angels fell to him in prostration. So the man is dignified, is honored. لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي أَحْسَنِ التَّقْوِيمِ. Indeed, we have created man in the best of forms. So human is given this great status. وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ وَحَمَلْنَاهُمْ فِي الْبَرِّ وَالْبَحْرِ وَرَزَقْنَاهُمْ مِنَ الطَّيِّبَاتِ وَفَضَّلْنَاهُمْ عَلَى كَثِيرٍ مِّمَّنْ خَلَقْنَا تَفْضِيلًا. And indeed we gave honor to the children of Adam, meaning humans, and we caused them to be carried on the sea and the oceans and the rivers, and we gave him sustenance from the good things, and we honored them over many from those that we have created, a great honor. So this is not referring to Muslims, this is speaking generally. So we can see the status of humans. That it's not that humans are degrading creatures, vile creatures. Yes, they can choose wrong paths, but that choice Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives them. We know, for example, when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his Sahaba's habit would be that when a janazah would pass, even though the dead was a non-Muslim, Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam would stand. Why? Because he was showing respect to nafs and insaniya here. Clearly he wasn't showing respect to the particular belief system this person had if they had died as a person who as a kāfir as such, but he's showing the respect and honor to the dead. And we have this, مرت به جنازة فقام فقيل له إنها جنازة يهودي. So Rasul says, is he not a soul? Is it not a human? And we have very similar discussions of this nature. So humans, we see, are highly regarded. Yes, their superiority is based upon their faith. Yes, their superiority is based upon their taqwa, on their showing their respect to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And these are things which go without saying.
يسعك الفضاء الرحيم